We are suddenly in tough times. For those of you who understand and got affected by the 2008 crisis, we all remember it was a gradual happening. But coronavirus, my friends, has made these things happen in the last 3 months. The IMF has cut down global economy by 3% this year, the growth. Investors have pulled out more than 100 billion in portfolios from emerging countries, India being one of them. More than 50 million people have lost their jobs already globally by the time we are speaking. And this number is more than the population of Singapore complete. $8 trillion have been allocated so far by countries for fighting coronavirus pandemic. And out of this 8 trillion, 7 has come out of the G20 nations. Finally, world economy is in a bigger recession than 2008, and it's expected that it will take at least 15 to 18 months to fully recover and get back to normal. And last but not the least, China has become the talk of not only the investors, but of also of your local Panwadi. And no better person to talk on all this than Prabal Basu Roy. Mr. Roy is a Sloan Fellow of the London Business School and a chartered accountant. He has previously been a director and group CFO in various companies. He now manages a private equity fund and advises chairmen of specific companies. Being an acknowledged independent voice in the national media with incisive understanding of both the financial markets and the corporate sector, he's extremely credible voice. And he's also among the most followed voices on LinkedIn and followed by various news channels when it comes to financial insights in the market. Prabalda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
So,
Abhinav. Thanks very
and of
much.
course, we are joined by Chairman and Publisher of Business World, Dr. Anurag Batra. Prabalda, my first question to you will be, how do you see this global growth going in which direction vis-a-vis to coronavirus pandemic? It's an unprecedented situation. Where do you see the global economy going from here?
Well, Abhinav, that's a function of various things. I'll give you the slight context here because I don't think most of us understand, or actually any of us understand which way it is going. But the important thing here is that at the moment the entire world is basically in a lockdown situation. And flattening the curve means, basically staying at home. But what people don't realize, or at least many don't realize, is that this is only to slow the disease and give us time to build our health infrastructure. It does not mean eradicating the disease at all. And no government will be able to eradicate this disease till there's either a therapy or a vaccine. This is the basic end state. So as a result, when many people try to make projections about the world, it's really, sort of shooting in the dark because we don't know what the government responses will be, how effective the lockdowns would be, when will we get the therapy or a vaccine, and whether there'll be a more virulent strain of this virus which will come back in the next few months. So we know none of these at the moment, but we still have to work together on that. So the basic thing which we do know, therefore, is that there is no going back to normal. So the normal as we knew it, let's say in January this year, has ceased to exist. That is something which we know. And like I said, the end state is at least 12 to 18 months away if we go the vaccine route. Or if a small molecule is found, the earliest I've heard is 6 months. If a small molecule or drug is made available. And in the interim, some cocktail of antibodies are also being talked about. And if that works, then maybe in 3 to 4 months, we can have some of that. But they will not be available across the world. So the new normal, as I mentioned to you, will be something which we'll have to figure out a way as we go along. So the whole answer about where the global economy is going, or the Indian economy is going for that matter, is at the moment best left unsaid. However, obviously we have to have some figures to work by. So, and there are many better minds than me, who have access to data like the IMF, the various government agencies and all that. But I'm in the camp of, let's say, Arvind Subramaniam or Raghuram Rajan and the likes, who question, that do not have reason to be optimistic yet about the way the economy will shape up at the moment. I've seen many people on the channel saying India is doing extremely well, and the markets have gone back in the last few couple of weeks. So that is all hogwash. That is not something which we should even think about. Pure mathematics, Abhinav, will show, just pure mathematics, this is not economics, just pure mathematics will show that India needs anything between 10 lakh to 15 lakh crore as way of stimulus. And this is just to cushion about 30% of the output which will be lost, which will be about 35 lakh crores. And this is for, mind you, just 1.5 months of lockdown. This is just pure mathematics. Now, the rollover effects and all of this. So, the numbers are so high. And once we start testing more in India, we'll actually know what the real numbers are. As of now, the testing kits are, we know all of that. Testing is not at levels, at international levels. So therefore, the outlook cannot be optimistic at this stage. It has to be realistic. Now, obviously, there are no models from the past. There are no models from the past to handle this. So therefore, to answer your question about whether it's going to be a V, L, or a U, or any of these numbers, we really don't know. However, the best would be, as a leader, the best would be to plan for a L, but hope for a U. I think that will be the best situation. A V is out of the question, which President Trump probably is the only person in the world who thinks we are going to have a V-shaped recovery because elections are due. That's just, it's not something which is credible at all. So it will probably be in that range as we see it now. So the most, that's the basic thing. So, there's no direct answer to this at the moment, but we must plan for the worst. Yeah. Yes.
Prabal, just coming in here, yesterday the RBI announced further measures to boost liquidity, to give credit, so on and so forth.
Yes.
But a lot of analysts felt that possibly in the era of negative interest rates globally, cutting it by a certain basis points, really, it's welcome, but it may not help the economy in the way it should. What are your views on the RBI's intervention yesterday?
So this has to be seen in context, Anurag. And it's a very good question. It has to be seen in context. And can I take a minute or two to just explain the context in that?
Sure, sure.
Because it's actually, see, this is like I said, there are no models from the past in handling this, right? So this...
Because it's the economic disruption is not only from the demand side. For the first time, there is a supply side disruption, and see, even if people have monies, where will they spend it? Because
correct.
Even if
correct.
So, it's unusual in the way you say it.
It's totally unusual. See, in the past, the financial crisis has been relatively simpler because it was localized, either to big institutions like 2008, or like in 1997, which was the Far East economic crisis, which was to a certain group of countries, or in cases of war, which is to do with specific countries, right?
Right.
So it was localized either by location, by geography, or by institutions, or in the Hong Kong flu, for example, in '68, it was localized to Hong Kong and China. So this time it is global, right? So there is absolutely nothing which we can go by. And in that context, like you rightly said, this is the three crises have come together. So the demand side issue, there's a supply side issue, and there's a financial side issue. So all three have come together. Normally, like in 2008, which most people are familiar with of this generation, for example, it was a financial crisis which made its way through the banking system. So it did not affect, it affected Wall Street, but did not affect Main Street, which is the real economy. Today, it has affected the real economy, right? Each and every person across the globe is affected. And that is the scale of which we're talking about.
Sure.
So while in 2008, people with white-collar jobs got affected, people with investments in the markets got affected. Here, the lowest level of the society in terms of economic power have got affected. So your drivers, your maids, your migrant labor, people who work in, everybody has got affected. So this sort of scale nobody has seen, and that is the important thing. So in this situation, Anurag, two things happen. one obviously is very obvious is the confidence gets hit. And confidence hitting meaning not only of FIIs, the confidence of the entire country and the entire world gets affected at the
Sentiment.
minutest level.
You mean the sentiment?
Correct. So, and this confidence is a vicious cycle. It shocks the financial markets, which it already has. Then jobs start going away. US has just said 10 million jobs have been lost. And Paul Krugman has said, no less a person than Paul Krugman, has said US will lose 20 million jobs. So, you know, the level at which we are talking is huge. So jobs will be gone. People will save more, obviously. They will just sort of save more and conserve cash in this sort of situation. So there'll be a direct hit on discretionary spends right across. And of course, there'll be a hit to the financial markets as well, which we are seeing in any case. Now, in this situation, coming to RBI. So there are two things which are obviously necessary. One is the fiscal side response, and other is the monetary side response. As far as the RBI is concerned, I said, given the constraints of a government which is actually silent on the economic front, apart from something which it did 3-4 weeks ago, I think the RBI has done a commendable job in ensuring what it is mandated to do, which is to keep the liquidity in the system going and making sure that there is no financial stress in the system because of this, till the government comes out with a stimulus package. I think both need to go hand in hand. So unless both happen together, we will not be able to assess the impact of the entire thing from a macro perspective.